Imagine dedicating 8 years of your life to someone only to realize you weren't his partner. You were just a placeholder while his mother ran the show. That's exactly what happened to Louise. And when her husband laughed at her most painful wound in front of everyone, she decided enough was enough. What came next? Sweet, poetic revenge he never saw coming. If you've ever been underestimated, betrayed, or disrespected, hit that like button right now, because this story is about finding the strength to walk away and watching karma do the rest. Subscribe for more emotionally charged stories, and let's dive right in. Louise thought she had it all. A charming little house, a husband named David who once looked at her like she hung the stars, and shared dreams of starting a family. In the early years, they would stay up late sketching floor plans for the nursery, laughing about baby names, even debating who would be the strict parent. Their weekends were filled with paint swatches, DIY projects, and whispered promises. "I thought we were building a life together," Louise recalls, "but what I didn't know was that I'd end up building alone." By year 5, David began to slip away, not physically, but emotionally. Louise would ask, "Should we move forward with the next fertility appointment?" His answer? A half-hearted shrug. "Maybe next month." She'd show him renovation plans. He'd mumble, "Whatever you think is fine." Those weren't answers. They were dismissals. Each one chipped away at her heart. Fertility treatments are grueling, physically and emotionally, but to David, it was just another chore. Louise felt invisible, like she was carrying the weight of their marriage alone. Just when Louise thought it couldn't get harder, David's mother, Patricia, moved in. The excuse? A health scare. But once she settled in, her so-called recovery turned into an indefinite stay. And with it, a hostile takeover. Patricia criticized everything. Louise's cooking was too bland. Her cleaning was never good enough. And the cruelest job? Whispering that maybe Louise's inability to conceive was because she wasn't woman enough. But Patricia didn't just say these things privately. She said them loudly, in the very house Louise had built. And David? He didn't defend his wife. He nodded. Sometimes he even laughed. Imagine being reduced to a guest in your own marriage. That was Louise. The final straw came on David's birthday dinner. Louise spent hours cooking his favorite meal, setting the table, lighting candles, desperate to rekindle even a flicker of the old love. But when they sat down, Patricia smirked across the table and said loudly, "Well, at least you'll always have me, since Louise can't even give you children." And David, her husband, the man she had sacrificed for, laughed. Louise felt the blood drain from her face. Her fork clattered against the plate. In that moment, she wasn't a wife. She wasn't even human to him. She was a punchline. That night, she didn't scream. She didn't cry in front of him. She just decided. Weeks later, David came home to an empty house. No notes on the fridge. No dinner waiting. No Louise. What he did find? A neat stack of divorce papers on the dining table. On top of them, a handwritten note. "David, you already have a woman running your life. And it isn't me. Good luck." The silence of that empty house was louder than any fight she could have started. That was her revenge. Not screaming, not begging, but leaving and forcing him to live with the reality he had created. Post-divorce, Louise flourished. She threw herself into her career, climbed the ladder, and bought a home of her own. One where her decisions mattered. One where every wall, every piece of furniture reflected her, not Patricia, not David. She traveled, made new friends, rediscovered hobbies she had abandoned. For the first time in years, she looked in the mirror and saw herself again, not someone's neglected wife. "I thought I'd feel empty without him," she says, "but I finally felt whole." Months later, the emails started. David wrote that he was in therapy, that he had learned to set boundaries with Patricia, that he finally realized how much he had lost. But it was too late. Louise didn't reply. A year later, they ran into each other by chance at a coffee shop. He looked older, weighed down by regret. He asked if they could talk. Louise smiled politely, but there was no spark, no opening. He had his chance. He laughed when she was broken. And when she rebuilt stronger, without him. David's revenge wasn't loud, messy, or dramatic. It was quiet, subtle,
Permanent.
his punishment was living with the knowledge that the one woman who loved him unconditionally walked away and never looked back. Patricia couldn't fix that. Therapy couldn't fix that. His laughter had cost him everything. And Louise? She didn't just survive.
She thrived.
That was the sweetest revenge of all. Louise's story reminds us, love isn't just about promises. It's about respect, partnership, and protection. If someone chooses to belittle you instead of standing beside you, the bravest thing you can do is walk away. Sometimes the most powerful revenge is living well. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button and tell us in the comments, have you ever walked away from someone who didn't value you? And of course, subscribe for more powerful stories of karma and revenge. Until next time, stay strong and never forget your worth.